Hi, my name is Dana Golden. Right now we're going to finish up our foray into externalities and market failures with a introduction to public goods. So public goods are another mainstay of environmental economics because in the environmental community there are a lot of things that are shared. You have non-renewable resources like fisheries that you have to share with the entire world, and you also have the atmosphere, which has some sort of concentration of pollutants, and that's shared amongst the entire world. So what is a public good? First off, public goods are non-excludable. People who do not pay for the good cannot be stopped from using it. Second off, public goods are non-rivalry. The use of the good by one person does not exclude its use by others. So you can't make sure that only people who pay for it receive it. So more market goods, you add a payment mechanism, and that rations the good and makes sure people don't take advantage of it. And then non-rivalry, you're able to use it with one person, doesn't exclude its use by others. So a good example of these is public education. This is not a great example because you can make someone pay for education, but it is kind of a public good to have a well-educated populace because no one can be prevented from receiving the impacts of a well-educated populace. Better examples are things like clean air and water. You can't exclude someone from clean air. You can't say, "Hey, you don't drink or don't breathe the air," and you can't make someone pay for clean air. Basic research is also like this. If you create improvements in the quality of research, if you move forward the standard of science, you can't really stop other people from having that thing exist. There's a difference between discovery and innovation. And finally, a good one is national defense. You can't stop people from enjoying the Iron Dome. If you're Israel and Palestine is, firing rockets and Lebanon is firing rockets, you can't say, "Hey, you're going to have the Iron Dome because you paid for it," and then you're not. National defense and public safety are public goods. The market won't provision public goods. This is kind of an odd thing if you think about it, because, usually you expect there to become a market for something. You expect that if there's something people want, the market will provide it. Why won't the market provide this? And it's really a failure of property rights. You can't exclude someone, so you can't charge for it. And some people will use the good and not contribute, relying on others. Think about unions. I think everyone who's in a union kind of agrees that it's a good thing to have higher wages. And I think most people agree that the union can help provision higher wages in some way if it's well functioning. But not everyone joins a union. In fact, most people who are given the choice whether or not to join the union don't, because there's this free rider problem. There's this idea that if you join the union, you will receive the benefits but pay the costs. But if you don't join the union, you'll also pay the costs, or you'll also receive the benefits, but you won't pay the costs. So you can free ride on someone else's service. So the tragedy of commons occurs when individuals acting in their own self-interest overuse a shared resource, leading to its depletion or degradation. The classic example is a pasture shared by multiple herders. So you have a bunch of people. There's this big area they can graze. There's no real way to say this is your section. So they all have an incentive to graze as many animals as possible in the pasture to maximize their own benefit. So you had more and more animals and settling the pasture becomes overgrazed and destroyed. So without cooperation, the resources overused, leading to inefficient outcomes for both individuals and society. So one of the solutions to this is property rights. And you often see in some African countries, you introduce property rights and you allow for a lot of development. This is there's a lot of work by Darren Amicaloon that showcases how property rights lead to development. But unfortunately, it's not always easy to provide property rights. So if you think about how it says mathematically, let n herders each decide how many animals qi to graze in a common pasture, where I equals 1 to n. So all of them are choosing how many animals to grade. You have a total number of animals grading, which is the sum of all the animals each herder chooses. And then each herder receives a benefit per animal, which decreases as the quantity increases. And so the payoff to each herder is qi bi minus c times qi, where c is the cost of grazing per animal. So in equilibrium, each herder maximizes pi I with respect to qi, ignoring the impact of b of q for others, leading to overgrazing as q exceeds the optimal level. So in the natural equilibrium, everyone's doing what's optimal for themselves, but it's destroying the resource for society, creating a worse result for society. So the socially optimal level occurs where you maximize total benefits minus total costs. And unfortunately, you're not going to achieve this just on your own. You have to have some sort of government intervention to ensure that the market is fixed. You can't provision this good without having someone step in and says, I will be the provider. So here's another mathematical example in the terms of the free rider problem for union. A union negotiates improved wages and work benefits that benefit all workers in a firm, whether or not they are union members. Each worker gains a benefit B from the union's collective bargaining, but union members pay a membership fee C. So the benefit of each member is B minus C, and the payoff for non-members is just B. So everyone has an incentive to free ride. Non-members don't have to pay the cost, but they still gain the benefits. There's an incentive to just not join the union and enjoy the benefit. But if everyone do that, the union won't be able to negotiate effectively, and you won't get good benefits. So socially optimal outcome occurs when all workers join and contribute a little to ensure strong bargaining power and maximize the benefit through collective action. But the problem is that's not going to occur because there's no real incentive to join the union unless people make you to. So a good example of the free rider problem in environmental economics is climate change. If the climate dies, everyone is hurt. We're all going to die if climate change is allowed to reach a certain point. If the climate is saved, everyone is helped. This incentivizes countries to lead on other countries to make investment. Why do your part if you'll benefit regardless? It's very similar to a prisoner's dilemma, where you can just wait on someone else to take care of it, and just assume that, if I'm the only one that does my part, we're all going to die. So why not just do nothing? So, how do you solve this problem? It's a very difficult problem. Obviously, the best solution is property rights and a way to ensure everyone contributes. The problem is that, it's very hard to do that for some goods. It's virtually impossible for clean air. So, some very good solutions for public goods. One example is public support and funding. National parks are a great example of this in environmental economics. We've decided that we really value a pristine environment. And so, we decided we really value a pristine environment. So the government is going to set aside these environments to be pristine because they're valued even aside from their market value. And then agreement provision among some individuals and countries, like the Paris Climate Accords, where countries said, we're all going to agree to do this, and we're just going to hold each other accountable so that we're all working, and it's going to stop the public good problem. So these policies may seem like they're easy to implement. You're like, well, we know what the solution is, let's just implement it. But it's a lot more challenging than that. There's a lot that goes into figuring out how to value these things and figuring out how to protect them and how should we choose what to protect. And that is going to be a lot of the rest of the class. And I hope you have a great day. I'll leave it there.